Welcome to the Astral Visionary Ones. Some people are born great, some acquire greatness, and still others are forced to be great. But what happens when excellence isn't an option? When the world does not ask, you are compelled to rise. The selected ones. You have heard the tales. Perhaps you have questioned them. But there is one truth. They learned the hard way. You can't defeat them. Not because they're impenetrable, but because they won't stay down. Here's a nice tidbit to chew on. The strongest metals are created in fire, which is hotter than most of us can comprehend. The same is true for the selected ones. Trial by fire, destruction, or impossibility. They don't survive because they are fortunate. They thrive because they are unavoidable. They are the ones that take your finest shot, smile through the blood, and claim that's all you've got. So, sit tight. This is not your standard hero story. These are the selected ones. And if you believe you can defeat them, good luck surviving what they've already gone through. Number 1, the responsibility of being unrivaled. The burden of being unbeatable is seldom recognized for what it is. When someone is referred to as a chosen one, it implies a gift or honor. But in actuality, it's so hefty that most people couldn't carry it for a day. Being invincible does not imply they are wealthy or fortunate. It suggests they've been pushed to their breaking point repeatedly, yet they're still standing while others celebrate their victory. Nobody sees the conflicts. They battle in the dark, making sacrifices and meeting infinite demands. The world does not let the selected ones rest. Their successes are not celebrations, but demands. Every achievement raises the bar, leaving no tolerance for error. When they do succeed, few people inquire how. They do not notice the restless nights, loneliness, or quiet times when doubt seeps in. They simply see the result and expect it to occur again and again. There is also a terrible reality. Being invincible turns you into a target. People don't always applaud for excellence. They wait for cracks. They hope for a fall. The invincible become a challenge for others, a test of strength or pride. However, the selected ones bear it all, since the responsibility is not only to win. It is to keep winning even when the weight of their wins threatens to crush them. Being invincible is living with an unsaid curse. You are never permitted to quit. Nobody else may have picked you, but the world did. And the cost of being invincible is that you can never let them see you fail. Number 2, they do not win. They survive. The reality about chosen ones is that they do not win in the manner that people expect. Winning for them does not mean receiving a flashy trophy or acclaim from the audience. It's about survival. It's battling their way through fights that would kill anybody else and emerge damaged, broken, but alive. The world may proclaim them invincible. However, this is not due to their inability to fall. It's because when they do, they get back up, no matter how unlikely it seems. Every so-called win comes at a price. Their bodies withstand the blows. Their brains absorb doubt. And their spirits bear the weight of each scar. But they keep going, not because they are brave or indestructible, but because giving up is not an option. Others mistake it for strength, but it's really far darker. It's a combination of stubbornness and desperation, an unsaid reluctance to let life or destiny determine when it ends. People who observe them only see when they ascend, not the effort it required to get there. They do not see the evenings. The selected ones began to doubt themselves as they questioned why they should even fight. To the outside world, survival seems to be greatness. However, for them, it is just a fact of being themselves. What distinguishes them isn't ability or skill. It is their capacity to suffer longer, harder, and deeper than anybody else. When others give up because the agony is too great, selected ones persevere, even if it means dragging themselves through hell. Survival is not glamorous, but it is what makes them invincible. They do not need perfection to win. They only need to outlast everything that attempts to stop them. And this is what they do, again and again, until no one is left standing but them. Number 3. Enemies serve as stepping stones rather than roadblocks for the selected ones. Enemies are not barriers. They are fuel. Every opponent, challenge, and everyone who attempts to bring them down simply adds to their momentum. Whereas some see opponents as dangers, the selected ones seize opportunity. They don't use energy, resenting their difficulties. They utilize them as stepping stones to go even farther. It is not because they are adversaries or weak. Quite the reverse. The greater the resistance, the more significant the lesson. Chosen ones do not avoid confrontation because they comprehend something that most others do not. Resistance strengthens you. Every fight teaches them something new about their opponents, themselves, and the boundaries they are supposed to break. Rather of allowing resistance to sap them, they absorb it like a sponge, transforming pressure into power. Here's the kicker. Enemies who believe they are preventing the chosen ones are accomplishing the exact reverse. Their animosity, uncertainty, and efforts to bring them down only sharpen the selected ones. Pay attention when someone underestimates them or throws everything at them. It's like throwing fuel on a fire. It merely flames brighter. Well, what makes them invincible is their ability to convert threats into tools. If you stand in their way, you're simply another lesson they'll learn. If you strive to defeat them, you're only teaching them how to prepare for the next battle. The chosen ones do not disintegrate under pressure because they are too busy utilizing it to become stronger, quicker, and smarter. Enemies may believe they are scripting the chosen one's demise, but they are really adding to the chronicle of their rising. Every struggle, every effort to break them, adds to the list of reasons why they cannot be stopped. The harder they are pushed, the higher they will rise. In the end, enemies are not hurdles. They are just part of the process. Number 4, they exist outside of the rules. The selected ones don't follow the rules since the rules were never designed for them. For most individuals, life follows a predictable pattern. What you can and cannot do. What is fair and unjust. What is feasible and impossible. However, these borders have no value for those who have been selected. Their entire presence challenges the constraints that everyone else accepts. It's not that they manipulate the system. They rework it. Fate bends in their favor, not because they are fortunate, but because their resolve exceeds the world's expectations. The notion of fairness does not apply to them. Fairness is for people who follow the rules, accept their situations, and do not question how things are selected. They do not wait for permission or affirmation. They take what others believe is impossible and turn it into reality. When people say no, they find another solution. They break down the closed door. Where others perceive barriers, they sense fractures and know how to push until the whole structure shatters. This is not about being arrogant or entitled. It is about inevitability. The selected ones aren't only looking to win. They have to. Their resolve is so strong that reality has no option but to conform. They refuse to accept norms that restrict others because they have a different perspective on the world. Where most people stop, they go ahead. Where others hesitate, they plunge, and where others fail, they figure out how to achieve. Not because the way was simple, but because they refuse to accept that it was impossible. Normal norms do not apply to them, since normality was never designed to contain them. They don't just exist beyond the rules. They challenge what is achievable for everyone else. Number 5, unbeatable is not unbeatable. Being unbeatable does not imply being flawless. It doesn't imply they won't be harmed, stumble, or lose. Chosen ones bleed just like everyone else. They are intimately familiar with suffering, failure, weariness, and humiliation. But what distinguishes them is what occurs afterward, whilst others let defeat define them. The selected ones utilize it as fuel. Every fall is an opportunity to emerge stronger, smarter, and more determined than before. For them, loss does not mean the end. It's the beginning. It's a lesson, a spark, and a challenge to be better than they were. They don't dwell on failure because they see it for what it is, a stepping stone to success when others would collapse. They reconstruct. They examine every defeat, finding the cracks, honing their talents, and hardening their resolve. So the same error is never made again. What makes them invincible is their resolve to give up. Suffering does not deter them. Setbacks don't deter them. Even when they are at their lowest point and have lost everything, they find a way to rise again. It is not about creating abilities. It's all about endurance. They embrace the wounds, scars, and bruises because they understand the cost of greatness is high. Others may dread failure, but the selected ones welcome it. Every failure, to them, is a launching pad for a bigger win that no one else predicted. Being invincible does not mean avoiding a conflict or going away unharmed. It's about going through fire and coming out again and again, regardless of how many times the flames consume them. They do not need perfection to win. They only need to withstand the world's efforts to keep them down. And it is why they cannot be defeated. Number 6 was picked not by chance, but by sacrifice. Picked ones are not picked by chance or destiny. They are picked because they are prepared to give up what most others consider holy. The cosmos does not bestow grandeur onto people who cling to ease. It sets a price for the selected ones. Relationships, tranquility, and safety come at a high cost. They will never be able to reclaim some aspects of themselves. The remarkable comes at a cost, and they understand this better than anybody. Others aspire to greatness, but are hesitant to make the necessary sacrifice. The picked go one step ahead, prepare to lose. Whatever it takes, they abandon the typical life they may have led. Instead of living a peaceful life, choose the comfort of mediocrity and the security of fitting in. They go on a road fraught with hardship, loneliness, and uncertainty. They understand they will be tried. They know the sacrifices will continue. They still chose to walk. What distinguishes them is not just their capacity to withstand loss, but also their willingness to accept it. While most people associate sacrifice with misery, the chosen one views it as a deal. They give up bits of themselves in order to achieve something bigger. Strength, insight, and purpose. It's not simple, and it's hardly fair. However, they accept the agreement because they recognize one reality. Nothing exceptional is ever accomplished without sacrificing something in exchange. People observing from the sidelines often misinterpret their sacrifices for craziness. They question, why give up so much? However, the selected ones understand that greatness does not come to those who play it safe. They've abandoned the mundane in pursuit of something most people can't understand. They are not fortunate. They are relentless. And in a world where few are prepared to lose, their sacrifices are what make them unbeatable. Number 7, their strength resembles a mirror. The selected ones do not need sheer force to win. What makes them genuinely dangerous is their ability to highlight the flaws of those who oppose them. They serve as mirrors, reflecting their adversary's true nature, even the defects they work so hard to conceal. The very presence of a chosen one compels others to confront their fears, doubts, and flaws. And once that occurs, the descent starts. Most individuals spend their lives avoiding their weaknesses. To protect themselves, they hide their vulnerabilities and project a strong image. But when they face a chosen one, everything falls. The selected ones do not have to shatter their opponents. They allowed their adversaries to shatter themselves. They hold up a mirror to demonstrate the fissures, and the reflection is sometimes too much to endure. Weaknesses that appeared minor before become visible, and the dread of being revealed becomes a weapon in itself. The selected ones have a special ability to make others unravel. It's not because they're flawless or untouchable. Rather, they've faced their own demons. They understand their weaknesses and have transformed them into strengths. That is why their opponents despise them so much. They cannot be shaken. Their confidence is not based on delusion. It's based on truth. When others see themselves mirrored in the chosen one's presence, they are compelled to confront the issues they have been avoiding. The picked ones stand out because of their psychological edge. Their power lies not just in what they accomplish, but also in how they disclose the truth about others. They do not need to deliver the ultimate blow. They just stay steady while their opponents disintegrate under the weight of their own flaws. The mirror never lies, nor do the outcomes. Number 8. Victory is a lonely throne. Victory comes at a cost. For the selected ones, the cost is loneliness. People respect them, praise their accomplishments, and even shout their names. However, appreciation does not equate to understanding for those on the outside. The selected one's successes seem magnificent, easy even. What they don't perceive is the cost of being on top. Others covet their undefeated record, yet that is exactly what separates them from the others. The road to greatness is unique to each individual. The sacrifices, obligations, and fights they face are all their own. Others may attempt to walk beside them for a time, but ultimately they lag behind, unable to keep up or reluctant to participate in the pain. The selected ones rapidly realize that no one else can bear the burden of their journey. They stand alone not because they choose to, but because no one else can. What makes it more difficult is that individuals often put their own expectations onto the chosen one. They become symbols of hope, strength, and perfection. But symbols are not individuals. The world likes to applaud on its victors, but it seldom asks how they are feeling. Loneliness isn't solely a result of their successes. It becomes an essential part of who they are. For the selected, victory does not result in connection. It constructs barriers. People focus on the result rather than the battle. They focus on the successes rather than the hurts. And since the selected ones are always successful, no one believes they need assistance. So they bear on their shoulders the weight of their own mythology. No one else can touch the throne from which I am looking down. And I wonder whether anybody will ever comprehend how lonely it is at the top. Number 9. They change the story. The selected ones don't just follow the script. They rip it up and create their own tale. They exist outside the tidy little boxes that society attempts to place them in, refusing to play the part that is expected of them. Whether they are seen as heroes or anti-heroes, they reject the whole concept of being unstoppable. They are not constrained by conventional tropes or predetermined consequences of destiny. Instead, they forge their own route, often changing the narrative so dramatically that no one can guess what will happen next. Most people believe that being unstoppable means being triumphant, untouchable, and always on the right side of things. But for the selected ones, it is never enough. They refuse to let others define their path. Heroes become flawed, anti-heroes find redemption, and triumphs have unforeseen consequences. What others see as their weakness becomes their strength, and what many assume to be their undoing becomes the same thing that propels them to new heights. It is not just about violating the rules. It is about reinventing them. The selected ones deviate from the customary framework, forcing everyone to reconsider what greatness looks like. They don't just conquer hurdles. They transform hurdles into chances to disrupt the same narrative that everyone else believed they were locked into. The concept of fate does not bind them. They control fate, and shape it according to their desire. They are redefining what it means to be unstoppable. It's no longer about brute power or flawless performance. It's about tenacity, reinvention, and a persistent challenge to the norm. The selected ones do not only live through their tales, they constantly rework them in unexpected ways. In the process, they prevent others from following in their footsteps. Number 10, failure feeds them. The selected ones vary from everyone else in how they deal with failure. Most people would let defeat destroy their confidence, but the selected ones get outraged. They don't dwell on disappointment or let failure define them. Instead, they utilize it for fuel, transforming irritation, resentment, and fury into something more powerful. What would shatter others only makes them stronger. Failure is not a setback. It's an invitation to develop. Every time they fall short or things does not go as planned, they feel the fire of injustice blazing inside them. They are more concerned with ensuring that it never occurs again than with the pain of loss. The selected ones comprehend something that most others do not. Growth does not occur in a comfortable environment. It stems from the battle, from the times when you're pushed to your limits and compelled to dig deeper than you ever believed possible. They perceive failure as a challenge rather than an end point. Rejection, blunders, and setbacks. They don't sting very long. They transform into the thing that pulls them ahead, the spark that starts their next phase of development. Every time someone doubts them or the world says they can't, they transform their doubt into resolve. What would halt most people in their tracks motivates the selected few to work harder, smarter, and quicker. In fact, failure may be the one thing that actually thrills them, since they know something that others don't. They haven't failed till they've been properly tested. When they fail, they utilize it to fuel their next development, assuring that nothing and no one can stop them the next time. Number 11. They break before winning. Before the selected ones may achieve greatness, they must first fall apart. There is always a time, a breaking point, when all they've worked for falls apart. It is neither visually appealing, nor is it enjoyable to watch. They are driven to the edge. Failure, uncertainty, and loss have crushed me. In these instances, they are not the untouchable characters that everyone admires. They are raw, fragile, and entirely destroyed. They lose all that formerly characterized them, and for a little minute it seems that they will not survive. But it is through destruction that something tremendous is created. They do not revert to their previous state. Instead, they transform into something altogether different. The previous version has been replaced with the unbreakable version, the version that recognizes how deep the grief may be and decides to rise anyway. It is at the darkest times, when the world seems to be crumbling, that the chosen ones learn their true nature. They discover a power they didn't know they had, a resilience created from the same thing designed to kill them. The true power of the chosen ones is not derived from averting annihilation. It comes from surviving and coming out stronger. Every time they are broken, they learn something important about themselves, which makes them unshakable. The next time they encounter the impossible, they shatter but never remain broken. And it is what makes them invincible. They understand how far down they can go. And when they rise again, they do so with unwavering determination that no one can refute. In the end, it is not their wins that define them. It's when they were devastated and had to start from scratch. That's when their actual, unbeatable character emerges. Number 12, their legacy is larger than their conflicts. The chosen ones are not characterized by the wars they fight or the wins they proclaim. Their actual legacy is shown in the aftermath, when they take the international stage. They don't just win, they make a seismic effect that reshapes everything around them. The consequences of their deeds go well beyond their own victories, affecting empires, ideologies, and whole systems. Each success is more than simply a personal triumph. It serves as a catalyst for change, indicating that the old methods are disintegrating and something new is emerging in its stead. What most individuals do not realize is that becoming invincible is not their ultimate aim. It is the basis, the beginning point. From there, the selected ones shift their concentration to something considerably more powerful, changing the planet itself. They don't just overthrow their adversaries. They demolish the mechanisms that enabled their adversaries to prosper. They question the basic mechanisms that keep society together, questioning what has been accepted as normal and highlighting flaws that others refuse to see. The chosen ones don't just alter the path of history by their acts. They rework it completely. They start revolutions, transform paradigms, and change the way people think. It's not enough that they're unbeatable. They must guarantee that the world they leave behind differs fundamentally from the one they entered. The fights are just the beginning. The true labor is in the ripple effect that lasts long after their achievements are forgotten. In the end, the selected ones are not recognized for their flawless record or unparalleled power. They are remembered by what they created, destroyed, and modified. Their legacy is not based on the conflicts they fought. It is in the world they left behind, eternally changed by their will, vision, and unwillingness to accept the current quo. The selected ones are not only champions in the usual sense. They are the disruptors, the visionaries, and the ones who defy the fundamental norms of reality. Their route to greatness is not straightforward. It's an unwavering pursuit of something much larger than anybody can fathom. They bleed, they fall, they lose, but each failure just strengthens their resolve. Every instant of devastation creates a stronger version of themselves. They don't just ascend. They defy expectations, rewrite narratives, and create a legacy that will last through history. Being unbeatable doesn't imply invincibility. It's all about resilience. It's about understanding that every conflict, every hurdle, and every setback is really a stepping stone on the path to something much greater than triumph. For the chosen ones, the ultimate measure of greatness is not the wins they claim, but the worlds they transform and the lives they touch. They don't follow the rules since they know they were never intended for them. They rewrite the story not for personal gain, but to leave behind a reality in which others cannot help but be indelibly changed by their presence. So, when you look at the selected ones, don't only consider what they've accomplished. See the fire that burns under the surface, the strength forged from their failures, and the vision that propels them beyond what is imaginable. They don't just win. They change the fabric of reality itself. And in that transition, they demonstrate to us all that genuine strength isn't in never falling, but in constantly rising. If you've been gripped by the narrative of the chosen ones, you won't want to miss what happens next. Hit the subscribe button to join us on this trip, because the world is filled with unsung tales, unwavering fighters, and truths that must be heard. Subscribe today and join a community that dares to confront the impossible. Don't just observe the change. Take part in it. God bless you.